Good evening and welcome to the Aussie Endurance Series Round 7 from Fuji International. A very interesting track, the Fuji Speedway. It was originally opened in 1963, the current configuration that we're running on this evening, the International Historic layout with no chicane, has been current since 2005. There's 14 turns and it is 4.48 kilometres long. And the track records for the LMP2 was set in 2019 by Mark de Vries in the Okra of a 130.042, and the GT3 record is the Nissan GTR set in 2018 by Alexandre Imatori. The cars are out on track at the moment doing their qualifying. Let's go straight to the live action as we're riding on board at the moment with Matt Beattie in his brand new livery for the LMP GT tonight. I get myself organised with my control screens. And John Philly parked up in the pits at the moment, yet to put down a time. And John McHenry also waiting in the pits for a last run out. 5 minutes and 50 seconds to go here for a 15-minute qualifying session. Fresh out on track. Moving up from the GT3s up into the LMP2 class. And John Philly having the best time for the LMP2s. With a 127.1, Matt Beattie 0.6 of a second behind over John McHenry with a 129.2 and Cal Pesh with a 129.8. And Matt is the only GT3 on track this evening for qualifying at this stage in the Ford Mustang with a 138.371. Jared Eastman is also out there at the moment in the Ferrari. Let's check on Jared. Back in the Ferrari with the Deadpool livery this week for Fuji after a week in the LMP2. Let's jump on board with Jared and take you for a lap around Fuji. Going down into turn 1. Turn 2, flat out, up through the gears, braking down into Coca-Cola corner, turn 3. Tight in through there, can take a lot of the inside curb. Round through turn 4, 100R. Corner that just keeps going, exit into turn 5. And then hard braking zone down into the hairpin turn 6. Waiting for the car to rotate before getting hard back onto the power. Through turn 7 and turn 8. And 300R, turn 9. Again hard into the braking zone down into Dunlop corner. Short little straight to the top of the hill through turn 11 where it drops away from us. Careful here not to lose the back of the car. Turns 12, 13 turn neat. You see that's how easy it is to lose the rotation of the car through there, unloading from the left to right. Very tricky section of track and will be challenging all of the drivers. We look for one of the drivers who are out on track at the moment. Jumping on the ball with John McHenry. Comes around on turn 14 onto the start finish line. We'll see the pit entrance over to the left hand side. Oh sorry, right hand side. Very short pit lane here at Fuji International Speedway. And the transition for pit lane is around about 55 seconds for a full tank of fuel and change of tyres. The conversation is whether the LMP2 cars can go with only one stop this evening. The race length here for Fuji on round 7 will be 90 minutes. So 1.5 hours this evening. Under 2 minutes of qualifying left now. Tightly contested at the top at the moment between John Philly and Matt Beattie. And 1.9 second gap between the two GT3s. A very small field this evening. A lot of the drivers would be feeling the effects of the Spa 24 hour on the weekend. And you can't park there, Jared. A big shout out to everybody who raced on the weekend. Everybody who raced in Spa, congratulations. We hope you enjoy the stream this evening. We bring you round 7 of the Iracing Aussie Endurance Series. Following the IMSA class this round, or this season, with the LMP2s and the GT3s, and the GTDs if anyone wanted to get involved with them. We still have 5 weeks remaining for Season 3 in the IMSA class. And the top of the table is very tightly contested between John Filligan, Matt Beattie and John McHenry. There is not much separating the three at the moment. The GT3 drivers also having a good spill at the moment, but Matt Petrovic back this week after a dropped round last week. He'll be keen to make some points up to try and get back to the top of the ladder for the GT3s. There are multiple points available for these races. The fastest lap of the race, 0x count for the race, and obviously the outright race win and class win all contribute to the points available for each round. And the clock has counted down, so qualifying has completed. And all cars pulling up. While we get everyone organised and get ready for the race, the guys are going through their setups at the moment and checking their pit strategies. I want to thank some of the leagues that bring this league together. The Veteran Gaming Australia. Veterans looking after veterans. You are a current member of the Australian Defence Force or have previously been a member of the Australian Defence Force. Veterans Gaming Australia has a format or platform that can get you involved in gaming and help you out along the way. A great organisation to be with, and we all support them along the way. And also just got to throw in there, my league that I race with on and off between VGA is Oz ANZ Combined Racing League. You can find them on iRacing AMS2 and also ACC. A quick look at the track map. So 14 turns, 4.48 kilometres. The cars have taken to the track now.
Hello, Tim.
Getting themselves organised. Hey, mate, how are you? Hey, mate, how you going?
Yeah, good. Discord. Where is it? It's over here.
We've just had John Cashy jump in the
So,
broadcast booth with us this evening. So let me share my stream for you, mate. You'll be able to see it live then.
oh, okay, because I was about to jump into John's. Okay, how do I do that?
Just wait, mate. I'll share my screen and you'll be able to see it.
Yep.
That's a good idea. Just kind of throws another variable into the race.
Nah, mate. Sorry, it doesn't look like it's going to let me do that. So yeah, jump into John's stream.
Yeah, that's right.
Or you can jump onto my Twitch if you want, but the delay will be about 5 seconds.
Yeah, all right. I don't have your Twitch.
I just posted it up in broadcast, mate. There's a link in the broadcast channel. Alright guys, the cars are on that formation lap at this stage. We'll just get ourselves organised in the broadcast booth, and the cars are getting very ready for the start of this race. And they cross the start-finish line. It will be green lights. The safety car has pulled away. We are waiting for the cars to cross the start-finish line before they get the green flag. Green flag is out and we are off and racing. Round 7, Fuji International Raceway. A very small field this evening, but that won't take away from the quality of driving we have here at the moment. John Philly has got the jump at the moment over Matt Beattie. John McHenry and Kopelsch holding out the class for the LMP2s, with Matt Smatrovic and Jared Eastman coming through behind in the GT3 class. And the drivers will all be conscious here. Full tank of fuel and cold tyres at the start of this race. Just allowing the cars to flow through, not pushing them too hard, but John McHenry will be keen to try and get in front of Matt Beattie at the moment. Matt with a brand new livery for us this evening. Very exciting. The Larimer Simpsons livery for the LMP2. And the drivers will be conscious of the camber changes. Returns 11, 12, 13 or 14. They come back around onto the start-finish line. They all line up into the strip line behind John McPhilly. So everybody surviving through the first lap and no changes at this stage.
Yeah, of course they do, because I'm not there to crash.
That's it, mate. That's it. How was your weekend, mate?
Oh, it wasn't too bad. It didn't do much. Saturday's grandson day. Oops, someone just had a spin.
Yeah, so Matt Beattie just getting a little bit onto the brakes there, mate. We just may take a quick look at that. Might change our camera angle into a chase cam. Just getting deep into the braking zone. We'll see it closes right up, misses the braking
Avoided
zone.
running into the back of John.
Locks up.
Avoided running into the back of John.
That's it, just avoiding that,
Yep.
but too late on the brakes there, mate. Then by the time he got the car pulled up, he'd locked up the rears and a rotation around.
I think he's been watching me too much. Yeah, as I was saying, Saturday's grandson day, we do archery together.
Oh, lovely.
And their Sunday was just a day trying to veg out and forget about last week and move on.
Did you manage to catch some of the stream from the 24-hour at Spa?
Yes. I was up for a bit of the not all night, but earlier on in the night, and was chatting to the boys to help them through. And even when I was at archery, I was on and off the phone checking out how they were, and yeah, I was quite pleased.
Yeah,
Glad they did really well.
A lot of information to come back out of the very wet Spa for the GT3 class and the lower classes. Interesting conversation.
Mate, they were wetter than when I'm in a Spa.
Yeah. The interesting one was the higher end splits did not get anywhere near the weather changes that they got in the lower splits, which I think was a bit rough.
Wow.
And that was across all time spans. So even the 8 a.m. start, the top 4 splits didn't see any rain right through until probably 18 hours into the race.
Wow.
While as we know, the lower classes, they were just inundated with an ever-changing track. So
they made up for it.
They did. It was certainly challenging for all the drivers, but hats off, mate, to everyone. As you know, a 24-hour race is a big challenge. It's a great achievement just to get across the finish line.
I think the funny thing about it was the tired Max Verstappen that raced until 3 a.m. and then got up early to do another stint before he did his race and then nearly crashed out.
Yeah, well, right up to the
was
back
grumpy,
of
wasn't he?
Lewis Hamilton. I'm actually surprised that both of those cars managed to finish the race, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Not too many times that you can do that sort of impact to a F1 car and get away without any damage.
No. He was dancing on the nose pretty good.
Yeah, it bounced really well, mate. Suspension was highly improved. So Matt Beattie on the march now. He's got the fastest lap of the race, and he just makes contact with the back of Kapesh into the braking zone into turn 1. There is some damage now to the front of Matt Beattie's car.
Bit of a repeat from the previous lap, but he actually hit the car this time.
Yes, but I think wasn't expecting Kapesh to brake as early. So I think just pushing himself a little bit too hard there.
Yep. True.
But we will go back.
Yeah, he's got no aero at the front. He's lost
it. The front end is pushed in. We'll go back and take a look. We'll take it from inside the cockpit. And it's going to show us that one. We'll go back to the original situation. Tried to brake late, thought he had the inside line, couldn't get the car pulled up, and unfortunately he was a passenger. As you can tell us there, Kashi, basically once the tyres lock up in the LMP2, you are nothing but a passenger.
Well, once you lose that aero, the wind over the front of it, it just goes nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm well known for that.
And
once you lock them up, they just go nowhere.
That would have been the situation, got right up under the back of the car. I think he was expecting that he was going to get down the inside there, not able to get the car to turn to the right hand. And unfortunately, contact with the car, that will be certainly reviewed after this race, I'm sure. But has paid the penalty for that. He's had to make a dive for the pits.
And then next corner, the next right-hander, he just didn't want to turn, so...
But chosen to stay out here, surprising me. I thought he might have taken the pit lane. He is going to lose a bucket load of time now. We've spoken about the pit lane transition is around about 55 seconds for the LMP2s to take a full tank of fuel and a set of tyres. Well,
that's nice to know, because during practice I'd have done 2 laps.
And now we are... Hey, Scruff, how are you, mate? Scruff's just jumped into the chat to say g'day.
Hey, Scruff.
Great drive on the weekend, mate. Congratulations for the Spa 24-hour. And we've got Cashy in the box with us again tonight, helping us out for commentary for the round 7 of the Aussie Endurance Series on Iracing at Fuji International. Currently riding on board with Matt Beattie. He's had a little bit of an incident running into the back of Kopesh into the braking zone into turn 1. And that sees him now 52 seconds off the back of the lead of this race. And has now taken his pit stop. Kopesh managing to carry on without too much damage on the back of his car at the moment. For those who remember, Kopesh originally started this series in the Ferrari and has chosen to move over into the LMP2. An opportunity that any of these drivers have. They aren't locked into a car or a class for this series. It is a development series for everyone to get involved in. As we jump aboard with John McHenry, sitting 2.7 seconds off the back of John Philly at the moment. And they will have a little bit of a breathing space now. Matt Beattie was the fastest car on track in the LMP2 class prior to his incident, which has now taken him out of the running at this stage. But in this series they do have 2 dropped rounds for the end of the series when they tally their points up. So you miss a round, that is fine, and you can take your worst round out of the event as well. Kopesh has just put down his personal best of a 130.4. Not far off the pace of the lead LMP2s now in race trim. And Matt Matovnik setting his authority down in the GT3 class. He's got that Ford Mustang absolutely humming out there at the moment on a 138.89. Riding on board with Matt in the Audi Mustang. Is it just me, or has he had a little tweak of this livery, because the orange looks more yellow this evening? Take a look at the attitude of the Mustang as we come through turns 13 or 14, fighting with the changes of camber and elevation changes. You hear the patience and the slow transgression back onto the throttle coming out of turn 14, trying to harness the power of the pony and stop the back of that car from stepping out under force. Easy to get the Mustang sideways around this circuit. Let's jump on board and do a lap around Fuji International inside the Mustang. looks like Jared Eastman has had a little bit of trouble at the back there in the Ferrari. Go back and see what troubles Jared got himself into. Running a little bit wide. And just getting on the throttle a little bit early through there. Maybe carrying a little bit too much speed. Let's jump on board. That was the lift off the accelerator. Clicked up into third gear, and that little lift off the accelerator through there was enough to unsettle the rear of the car through the slight change of camber, asking the rear of the car to do too much through turn 12. Is my spin on that. Scruff, if you've got anything you want to say onto that, but I think, yeah, just asking a little bit too much of the rear of the car through there in the Ferrari. So, Kashi, have you had a chance to do any test laps around Fuji in the lead up to this event?
No, I only got to do 2 laps earlier today and my computer played up, and I then was talking to a mate that's a bit of a boffin on him, and he spent the last 4.5 hours fixing my computer.
So, fingers crossed.
No, not really.
Okay, so fingers crossed we're back in action next week.
Oh yeah, I'm good to go now.
So was it the Windows updates and all the other jargon behind the scenes?
No, I'd had some troubles behind the scenes, and he went deep into my computer, and he actually does this sort of thing for people in the US, because he's from the US. He's in Louisiana.
Yep.
And he runs a computer company, and he's a very, very switched on gentleman. And I basically got 4 hours of his time for free, and he fixed my computer.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Yeah, I had issues.
Well, we're hoping it's fixed.
Yeah, touch wood. Knock on the old noggin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had issues with Windows updates actually back earlier in the year. I actually had to I had to format the whole PC, stripped everything all back and did a full reinstall. It was a pain in the butt.
Well, that's funny you should say that. That's what he did. And because he knows his way around the computer, we did it through like Google Chrome anyway.
Yep.
Desktop, one of those things.
Yep.
And he knew ways to be able to format the Windows thing while still on my computer.
Oh, nice.
And that's what we've been doing since about 3:30 this afternoon. So we hope we've fixed the gremlins that I had, but we'll find out in the next day or so.
Oh, fingers crossed it's all good for you, mate.
I'd really like to. He's told me some things that it's obviously confidential, who he works for and what he actually does, but he's very, very well sought after. And
they're the sort of people you want to be friends with. Yeah. It's good to have.
Yeah, you don't want to be friend. You don't want to be not a friend with him.
Yeah. You sort of good to have those guys on your side.
Yeah. And it was through iRacing that I found him. It was through another friend, Dave, when I got my PC and started iRacing, and there was 4 Daves, a John, and a Bob, or 5 Daves, something like that. It was just a group of Daves, so we all called ourselves Dave, and that's where I met Bob, and his knowledge of computers is probably similar to mine in the kitchen. He can do computers, and I can cook in the kitchen. So he's a well respected man in his field in the US, and good at his craft. Oh, there goes the Ferrari.
Yeah, very similar incident than we saw previously. Just carrying a little bit too much speed through there. Just take a look back in the cockpit.
Oh, that's where I'm going Thursday to watch Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool 3 out in cinemas at the moment.
Yep. My wife and I are going on Thursday to watch it.
Let's go back, see. Yeah, just expecting a little bit too much of the Ferrari through there. Also, I think that's a little bit of a setup issue. Most of the GT3s would be nervous on the rear tyres through there, having a little bit of, not so much downforce, it's more of a mechanical grip, but yeah, a little tweak in the setup there I think would go a long way in helping Jared get that Ferrari through there for sure. Back to the live action.
The other thing I did yesterday, I changed all my pedals position.
Oh, I hate changing pedal positions. I'm a creature of habit. They've got to be where they are. If they move, it irritates the crap out of me. It takes me a couple of weeks to get used to changes.
Unbeknownst to me, my brake pedal was loose. The bolts came loose.
Ooh.
And I couldn't finesse the pedals like I wanted to, and I couldn't work out why. And then when I got down there and had a look, yeah, 2 bolts had come undone and the other 2 were loose, and it was moving around all over the joint. So while I was at it, I worked out that my accelerator was too far back from the brake, and I couldn't, not that I heel toe anyway, but they just felt wrong. I couldn't understand why they felt wrong, and that was, they were loose, and they were moving around, and that's why I just didn't feel right. So now I've even got the clutch cell set up, which I never used to have. So in between asking a few guys how they had theirs set up and going out and checking the wife's car with the calipers and the engine and the steering wheel and the seat position, and I've come up with a hybrid, and it's probably taken me a few weeks to get used to it, but hopefully I'll have better control over the pedals now.
Well,
until I have my knee operation, and then it's back to right foot braking.
Yeah. I can't heel to toe at all. Ever since I tore my meniscus, I've never been able to rotate my knee. And on load cell pedals, I'm left and right foot.
Well, I'm pretty lucky. It's the left knee that's going to get butchered. So when I originally started heel toeing when I had a twin cam Corolla.
Oh, yep.
And I did back in '88, I did the Jim Murcott high performance driving course, and they taught me how to heel toe in that. And I used to do it really successfully, and then I got an automatic for a short time, and I forgot how to do it. And then when I bought a XR5, I had to learn to redo it. But because the pedals are plastic, they're not steel, and they're molded, you can't change the distance, and it was really hard because the brake was 1.5 inches in front of the accelerator, and you just couldn't do it successfully, and nothing ever worked properly. But in the wife's Nissan Pulsar, they're a bit closer.
Yeah,
the only bad thing about the Pulsar is when you blip the accelerator, it stays up there, it doesn't fall off quickly, and that's a bit of a pain as well. So that's the Nissan engine. So
yeah, holds its revs, and I think
it's going to be fun learning to do it again. Sorry.
The smaller cars are always a little bit of fun. They tend to hold that rev range for that 1 or 2 seconds longer. Most of the four cylinders will all do the same thing, and all the early model overhead cam cars all had that. It was almost like a throttle governor in there that used to hold the throttle open for that little bit longer. But all the smaller cars had that little tight pedal box, and it was really easy to rotate your feet around and dance across the pedals.
Yep. My mate that I do real racing with in karts, we're tossing up whether to. I want to buy a 63, 64 Mini Cooper, rip the front off it, because you can take the front off and you can buy a clip to put a new front end on it, and you can get a Honda VTEC engine to fit in.
In a Mini?
Replace and then you can also take off the back end as a clip you can buy for that, and then you can get the four-wheel drive system and put in there. So you can have a Honda VTEC engine with the four-wheel drive system in a Mini.
That's
my ambition is to build that.
That's like putting a 351 in an XU1 Tirana.
And your problem is
trying to control it. I had a friend that had an XU1 Tirana, and he went to Road Service or Regency, it is in South Australia, for registration, and they asked to put a rotary from an RX4 into it. And they agreed that provided it went through all the paces and that it could stop when they asked it to stop from 80 k's an hour, it met the emission restrictions, which was going to be the biggest thing for it. It had to meet the CO2 emission license. Yep. They said if it ticked all those boxes, they'd allow him to register the vehicle, but they would never insure it.
Oh, okay.
Because they said the power to weight ratio was still about 300 kilos lighter than the RX4.
Well, there's actually one of these minis in Moe or Morwell. Because I've heard of a guy that's has built one.
And would it
frantically looking for him?
Would it be on the same alliance as the car that's now banned from Bathurst? In the fact that it's too fast?
It could be. But then again, that's no different. I wanted to put my go-kart engine into a golf buggy, and they wouldn't, and no one will sell me a golf buggy to do it.
Yeah, golf buggies.
Drive down to the bowls club on a Friday night and then back again, but rubber on the tyres would be the problem.
I know someone who lost their driver's license for being DUI in a golf cart, and he was a truck driver, so he wasn't happy.
I don't drink.
Thought he'd gotten away with it. They thought they'll just shoot off the ninth hole round the corner to the pub to get a six-pack, shoot back on the golf course. But yeah.
Now, my dad got done for DUI on riding a horse.
That still exists.
Back in the early 70s.
And we did some research, and that law still exists. You can still get done DUI. They classify the horse, as we just watched Jared get a little bit deep in the brakes. Oh, sorry, Matt Beattie get a little bit deep in the brakes there.
Yeah, that's like when my grandfather died. He had a piece of paper signed by the Queen that anyone that walked onto the property, he was legally allowed to shoot them. And it was quite scary because it didn't have an end date.
He wasn't officially calling himself the United States of America, is he? Because
No. My grandfather passed away 20 years ago. And when we went through his stuff, he was 1 day off 100. when he passed, and we were going through. Nen was with us when we were going through his stuff, and then I found this yellow piece of paper, government signed, and stamped by the Queen or whatever, and it was a legal piece of paper that certain persuasion of people were allowed to be shot if they were on his property.
Oh, because I spent some time up in Alice Springs and got friendly with a number of the people who worked out at Pine Gap, the American Defence Base. And yeah, there's a sign on their fence because there's AK-47s at the gate when you meet the guards. But the sign on the fence says, if you cross this line, we will shoot you. There's 3 different fence lines and 3 gaps. They say you won't make it to the second fence because it's American soil, and they own your ass as soon as you step foot on there.
We, when I was in the Navy in the early 2000s, my wife and I went to the Honda Masters Games down there.
Yes, yep.
And we stayed at DAT 321. That was the transition place from American servicemen coming into the country and then the others going out.
Yep.
It was like a staging place for them.
Yep.
And it was opposite the RSL. And I can't remember how I found out about this. And, I was driving the Navy band and we stayed there. And then the band went back to Melbourne and I went back to Darwin because that's where I was stationed at Coonawarra. And when we decided that we were going to go to the Masters Games, we thought, well, where are we going to get accommodation? And I rang the DAT 327 up and said, look, how do I go about getting permission to stay here? And they said, just send us an email because you're a serving member. And then when we got there, it cost us $1 for the week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And we had full access to all the food and beer and everything inside the place. They changed our linen every second day and all that sort of thing. American TV, which ran 24 hours a day, 9,000 channels, what you wanted to watch. And then as I say, we stayed there twice, I think it was. And then the next time I saw American TV was when I went over to the Middle East, when I was in the Air Force. And, we're actually thinking of going back to Alice Springs to do the next games, but we don't know if we're able to stay at the USF Air Force staging place or not. But we're going to ask. Can only ask.
Well, that's it. Yeah, we were lucky enough to have the full crew from the the senior crew from the HMAS Arunta when they first birthed her out of Sydney. They came over to Alice Springs because it was the home of the naming. It was named after the section around.
Bus driver.
Yep. So
I did that too. I was their bus driver.
Yeah. So I was at Bojangles then. I was the duty manager at Bojangles. And we got to wine and dine the boys there, and then through those boys we met some of the Americans. And then we played pretty hard with some of the Americans. But true story, mate. They have the whole complexes, so they own a whole street and 3 or 4 streets around Alice Springs. And when they had their parties, they put the long table down the centre of the road, and everyone comes out with food and that sort of stuff. And you see all the boys in the pork pie hats and the big gold bling, and all the home boys and everything else. It was quite a thing to see in Central Australia, that's for sure.
Yeah, they're a great lot of people. Like, I just enjoy the Americans. They're such a good people, especially the servicemen. Obviously, being one myself, I relate to them really well.
And I love their sense of humour.
They love ours. They think we're crazy, so we think they're crazy.
But the track is starting to spread out here, but it's still a very tight gap between 1 and 2, between John Philly and John McHenry. Still 2.3 seconds. We can see the two cars going through on screen there. That is the distance between first and second in the LMP2 class at the moment, with 56 minutes to go in the race. The race reduced to a 90-minute race this evening.
So when do you reckon the pit stops will start? Another 10 minutes?
Yeah, so around about 40 minutes for the LMP2s.
Oh, okay.
And so they're on a two-stopper. They'll have to do a splash and a dash at the end because they only get around about 28 laps. So they'll probably about 4 laps from the end they'll have to do their final stop. The guys were doing the numbers.
They couldn't fuel save that much?
They were doing the numbers on the fuel save, and they said it would only take one spin or a tight contested battle as we've got at the moment between John Philly and John McHenry. That they wouldn't be risking it because they had to allow for the formation lap and they had to allow for any potential safety car or any hold up with behind a GT3.
Right.
John said it was possible, but he said he probably wouldn't risk it. And I would say the pace that they're pushing at the moment, they're certainly not fuel saving.
I can't see what gave that away.
Would have happened to be Philly just put in the back of the LMP2 out sideways around turn 3, but he chance would it?
Oh, no. It's unlike John to do that.
And we just see the inside chicane there out of turn 10, which is the normal format for this, or the layout for this track. We are using the historic layout this evening with no chicane. So just 14 corners around this circuit, 4.48 kilometres. Expecting the guys will do around about 64 laps this evening.
Well, that would have screwed me up because the track I had the chicane. Dang.
Yeah, no, that's why you should always do a little bit of practice in the race lobby. So jump into the official service lobby for the race and do a practice session in that just to confirm the track and the conditions because they weren't sure. Originally this was going to be a wet track, but the weather was updated. I think 2 days ago the weather has cleared.
Right.
And at the moment track temp 43.3 degrees.
Well, it's funny you should say that because this morning when I jumped in to do my 2 laps, it was raining.
Yep. IMSA updated, and also IMSA run on the live weather. So the live weather originally had thunderstorms and rain.
Right.
But that hasn't eventuated. I think it's delayed by 8 or 10 hours. So due tomorrow morning.
Did Friday's outage interfere with anyone's race prep for the weekend?
I think some of the senior teams probably would have been. I think some guys were trying to get on Friday night to get some practice in. But I think iRacing itself, I think, was back up by 10 o'clock. So 10 p.m.
Oh, okay.
It was offline for all of maybe 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
Obviously, once they established the cause, being a indiscriminate piece of script.
Computer originally. Yeah, I thought it was my computer originally.
Yeah, that's the largest technical glitch worldwide. It was
It's wonderful while it's working.
absolutely. Even here in little old Port Lincoln, we didn't have FPOS for most of the facilities. A lot of the services didn't have telecommunications. So our phone lines, some of the phone lines went down. A lot of the security went down. So a lot of the businesses Friday night had trouble setting the alarms.
And I don't understand why they want us to go to a cash-free society. I really don't.
Yeah, look, I have all the electronic in my services, my touch phone and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, there's nothing like having cash in your wallet.
Always have, always will. I pay for very little stuff by card. I've always got cash. And nowadays, if you go to a coffee shop and pay with your card, they slug you for fees and charges.
Yeah, transaction. Yep.
So, strange, isn't it?
That's the cost of progress, I guess.
The rich get richer and the poor get poorer.
Yeah, the pendulum only seems to swing one way, though.
Yeah, not to you and I.
The old salad spinner, mate. We're stuck on the outside.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But we hope you're enjoying the stream for Iracing's Aussie Endurance Series, Round 7, or Week 7. This is the inaugural season for the Aussie Endurance Series, but this is based on Season 3 for the IMSA series on iRacing, running the LMP2s and the GT3s. A little bit of a small class field here, but still some tight battles going on around the track. John McPhilly and John McHenry, who we're watching at the moment, still 2.6 seconds between 1 and 2. Matt Beattie's got a bit of a struggle to come back after getting a little bit of trouble and outbreaking himself into the back of Kopesh. He sees himself one lap down after a mandatory or a compulsory pit stop for damage. And Jared Eastman has also struggled this evening in the Ferrari. I think a setup issue as much for anything else for Jared, but he has also required a pit stop, seeing that he is one lap down at the moment off the back of Matt Matova in the forward.
Being new to sim racing in general, do you know much about these guys' history?
Obviously,
their driving history. I like. If it hadn't been for Philly, there'd be no way in the world I'd be driving in a series like this, or through him and VGA, I wouldn't be where I am today without those guys.
Yep. Okay,
I
so
know John a lot from what he's done, but his racing is just so steady, so consistent. So obviously he's been doing it for a while.
yeah, so I first met John around about 5 years ago, racing on ANZ CRL on console in Project Cars 2.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And John was always in the upper mix. He's always been a very consistent driver. But I've seen his driving. He's moved over to iRacing around about, I would say, 4 years ago. So around about 2020. At the end of Project Cars 2, most of us phased away from console and we all moved up into PC, the real world of sim racing. John was very, very consistent from day one. He had a little patch where he stuck around about the 1.4k, but then after about 12 months or so on iRacing, everything seemed to click for him. He just found the right style of driving for the right variety of cars, and yeah, John runs with a 2.2 iRating.
Right.
And if we go John McHenry is running with a 2.0 iRating. He's been racing for a couple of years. New to the league, joined the league at the start of the introduction of Aussie Endurance Series. Has proven to be a very competitive driver. As we see with Matt Beattie, again, Matt came on board. I don't think Matt's a part of VGA.
Oh, I can't answer that. I don't know.
Yep.
I haven't taken much notice, to be honest.
Matt came on board at the start of the Aussie Endurance Series and has been ultra competitive, has shown good pace and good consistency in his car, and would expect when he gets more involved with the official races that his Iracing will jump up into the twos for sure, based on his pace and his consistency. Cal Pesh is new to Iracing and based in Lower Asia, I believe.
Okay, yep.
So he's only been Iracing for around about 4 or 5 months, I think. Came at the start of the Aussie Endurance Series, but he has seen an improvement in his driving since the start of the series, and he's showing that he's got the ability to have some good solid pace and be competitive with some more time in the seat. And Matt Mitrovic, I think he is involved with VGA at some level. Matt has shown that he has got outstanding pace in the Audi 4 that we are currently watching around the track at the moment. Matt's iRating 3.2k, so obviously been on iRating for a couple of years, but very confident behind the wheel. But the only one that I have actually officially driven with at the moment would be John Philly for an extensive time. Obviously yourself, Cashy, we enjoyed a very enjoyable Daytona 24-hour.
A memorable 24 hours.
We cannot say that we did not. We can't say we didn't have fun, mate.
No. I learnt to fly again last Wednesday night. I joined SRW, and last lap the P2 decided to go into turn 3 at Hungoro Ring. He decided to go to my right-hand side instead of the left, which I indicated I want him to go to the left because I was going to go hard right at the turn, and he decided to go up the grass and launched me into next week. So I learnt to fly again. But this time it was straight over the catch fence.
So the LMP2 now's after 31 laps taken in their pit stop, so they have managed to stretch it out. With 45 minutes to go, they're sitting right on that borderline of being able to do a one-stopper. We'll just sit with John Philly now, seeing him come around the start-finish line. He is V-lining for the pits, looking at that.
40.
So 43 minutes to go. John is on for a one pit stop strategy in the LMP2.
Yep, he's going in now.
And we'll see the GT3's Matt Mitrovic still has approximately 13 minutes to go. He should be able to get just past the 60-minute mark. Maybe 65 minutes, but the Ford is quite thirsty around here. So maybe just on the hour mark, he'll be dropping through the pit lane for the GT3s. And we'll jump on board with Kalpeshi at the moment, who sits in second place. And that has just changed over with John McHenry jumping through. So we'll follow John as he goes around the outside of Matt through in the GT3. And we'll see where the margin ends up. How close he can get to John Philly, whether the one lap undercut gives him the advantage through here, whether he's been caught up with traffic. There was around about 2.6 to 2.8 second margin between John McPhilly and John McHenry prior to the pit stops. And Philly out on track now, so there is a big margin between 1 and 2. We see Jared Eastman just putting down his personal best now of 139.2 and lighting it up yellow. We may have to jump aboard and take a look at that. He's still struggling through turns 11, 12 and 13.
Yeah, you're right. Cool.
Oh, yeah, big spin there.
I'm slow as shit through there.
Let's jump aboard the Cockpit of Jared. Yes, I think that's very much a setup issue with the Ferrari. A little too much acceleration through there. Probably also just bogging the front of the car down. You really need to just roll the car through there. Acceleration like that doesn't help squat the car down in those situations. It tends to make the rear of the car quite loose. And I think it's a combination of throttle inputs and also car setup. Seeing the amount of times that Jared struggled through turns 11, 12 and 13. You can see the car looks fairly well planted through turn 1, turn 2. As we see Matt Beattie just put the fastest lap down for the LMP2s with a 128.2. And again, being patient with it through turn 3 and turn 4. Little heavy-handed through there. It does tighten up into turn 5. Back down through the hairpin. Maybe could have got on the power a little bit earlier through there. The car does tend to grip up. Hard on the brakes into turn 10. Yeah, see, the car shouldn't be loose through turn 10. That's why I'm thinking this is dealing with a bit of a car setup. A little bit of understeer there. And a little bit of understeer through there. Turn 14, really wash that power off early. Get the speed down, get turned in so you can get hard onto the power early out of there. 2-3 tenths, I reckon, can be gained just on the exit out of turn 14 for the Ferrari. I will take it back to live feed. We might just jump onto the back of the Ferrari, do a chase cam, and just see how much attitude the car's got. Yeah, that little wag there through turn 10 says the rear of the car is too loose. The car should be, and also through there when he gets back on the power. Jared got a hard job in the Ferrari this evening.
Just not liking the setup of the car, you reckon?
I think the rear of the car just a little bit too loose. Especially through turn 10. Coming down the 300R, turn 10 is like a banked turn because that's where you would normally turn into the chicane. So you can carry quite a bit of speed through there and the car will grip up. To see the back of the car step out as he comes around through the exit of turn 10 is saying he's not carrying enough rear wing and generally probably a little bit too stiff on the rear end maybe. Definitely maybe some suspension tweaks and a bit of rear aero.
Yeah, that's something I got to learn is how to tweak that sort of stuff. I drive with the base setup, even though I know there's setups in there for the different cars and that, but I generally feel that I can drive better with the basic or the baseline setup. Because by the time I end up getting the race setup for the race, I've already done half a week's worth with just the baseline. Maybe that's good or bad, I don't know, but something I've got to work on myself.
Most people would say anyone starting out in iRacing or starting out with a new car should start with the baseline and learn the characteristics of the car before starting to make tweaks to the setup. There's no point in playing with a setup if you can't be consistent in the baseline setup, because then if you can't be within 3/10 of your lap times consistently, then you're not going to know what the setup changes are actually doing to how the car handles.
Agreed. Yeah.
Um,
Because I consider myself like Cole Trickle out of Days of Thunder, where when Harry turns around and says, "What's the car doing?" He says, "I drive the car." He says, "What's the car doing?" "I drive the car." So I can get into whether it's my supercart or whether it's in the Ferrari here or the LMP2 or whatever. However you give me the car is how I drive it. Don't ask me to set it up because I just drive the car. I don't know what it does. Even at the track, some of the guys say, "Oh, what's it doing out of this corner? What's it doing out of that corner? What's it doing coming into the corner?" I steer it in, I steer it out, jump on the gas and go. I because I come into racing late in life and not when I was 3 or 4, I don't understand what they're trying to ask or what they want me to say. To Philly's credit, he's tried to ask me the same questions. What's the car doing here? What's the car doing there? I drive the car.
well,
But I try to drive to a consistent pace and time. That's my, if anything, that's what I do well is I drive to a time that I set myself, and I can generally stay within a second either side of that.
So,
And that's how I drive. So
what we're talking about here, Cash, is when you're driving a car to try and understand the car understeered a little bit.
Yep.
And the Ferrari at the moment understeering through here, so he's trying to push the car through there too much. So he's experiencing understeer predominantly in the Ferrari at the moment, which is it's almost looking like it's handling like the AMG or the Mustang.
Yep.
The Ferrari doesn't normally push or understeer that much on the front end.
Okay.
So you would go back to the engineer and you say, "I'm having trouble with the understeering." So as he comes into the corner, he's got good turn in, but as he's got understeer as he's coming out of the corner, so the car's push, or the front of the car is pushing, which is what you feel in the AMG. And then a little lock of the brakes through there. And again, I think the setup of the car is quite nervous. You see the car through 100R.
Could he be getting on the brakes that little bit late, therefore he's carrying too much speed to cause that?
Yep, I think because the car's nervous, he should be braking a little bit less and a little bit longer, is the reference.
Yeah, I either brake too early or I brake too late.
But this one here through turn 10, the car should be gripping up through there because unlike here through turn 11 where the road rolls away from you and the back of the car wants to step out, turn 10 it's banked, so the car should dig into that, and we shouldn't see the car move out like we're seeing. So I'm thinking Jared's really struggling with the setup that he's got here this evening. And again,
no, that's fair. That's information for me too. That's food for thought. Like.
And we can see as Jared came through turn 14 there, I think he's just touched the accelerator a little bit and it's straightened the car up, and that's caused the car to understeer and he's gone wide. That's another trick that I've just found out about for iRacing. 50% throttle.
Okay.
When coming back on the throttle or carrying throttle through a corner, any less than 50% is going to force the car to understeer. 50% should be enough to get that rotation on the back of the car that you're looking for, like we've seen there.
Yep.
Just not that much of it. So that's a prime example of Jared getting on the power a little too soon. So the car is still loaded up and he's forcing the car around the corner. When he's got back on the power, the car still has too much lateral force, and it's unloaded, and the power's just unloaded the rear tyres, and that's where we started to see the rear of the car drift. In that situation, no more than 50% throttle. You'll feel that little bit of rotation, so you'll get the car to rotate for you, but you shouldn't lose the traction as we see with Jared then.
Right, okay, cool.
So, and that's Unlike the supercarts that you where it's just mash the throttle and then off the throttle, it's a little bit more massaging the throttle in the GT3s.
Yep.
It sounds weird for anyone coming from ACC or any of the other racing platforms, because the GT3s are hard on the accelerator, lean on the ABS. That's not the case here in iRacing. It is a drive the car with the pedals. Like 60 to 70% of the car's rotation should be done with the pedals, not the steering wheel.
Fair enough, yep.
Learning that and getting the muscle memory and the mapping to do all that is the challenge. And we just see John Philly put down his personal best at the moment of 128.5, but he's still 2/10 off the pace of Matt Beattie for the fastest lap of the race at this stage. Jared comes in with his pit stop. Might jump on board with Philly.
Because he lost the front end at that,
Yeah,
turn.
correct.
Or what it was. And he slapped the back of it too. I can see the left rear tyre.
Yeah, and the damage model now in iRacing. Little tap of the wall is severe. We'll just jump aboard with John McHenry, because he has a car directly behind him, which is Kopesh. Or he's just put a Kopesh a lap down, I think. No? If we see the Ferrari come out.
Oh, of course he would have used his fast repair.
Yep. Not Matt. Not Matt B.
There he comes out now.
So, John Philly, a 47-second margin at the moment in the front of his LMP2 class. John McHenry got a 8-second margin over Kopesh in P3. And Kopesh is currently sitting comfortably in P3 with a 131 margin back to Matt Beattie in P4. But Matt currently has some points on the board with the fastest lap of the race. And will be a little bit disappointed with himself this evening, I would say. But we might jump on board.
Who's the 247 car?
Jump on board with Matt Mitrovic, waiting for him to come out from his pit stop. He's actually done quite well. He has managed to 62 minutes.
Nice.
So he's got it past the hour. So we'll see the difference in the attitude. So the Ford Mustang should naturally be looser than the Ferrari. It's got the true push understeer of a front engine car. But we'll see the difference in the attitude of the car, even cold tyres, full tank of fuel. We're not seeing anywhere near the movement of the rear of the car that we saw in the Ferrari. And we can see just being relaxed through 100R, just allowing the car to grip up, waiting for the car to turn.
Would he have taken tyres?
Yes, he would have. At 42 degrees around here. Yes, absolutely.
Therefore, he's also going that little bit, not slower, but reduced his pace a little bit for them to wear in.
Yep, so he'll be looking for everything to come up to temperature. So we have got a safety car at this stage.
Oh, really?
Hey, Jared, you can just cars in front of you, man.
So let's just see what happened here. We've got contact between... No, Jared's just locked the rears up coming out of the... Well, Matt Bettie's just locked the rears up coming out of the pits.
Right.
And Jared again. this is the difference. Like Jared's on warm tyres,
Yeah.
and the difference between the Ford and the Ferrari. The Ferrari just continuing to rotate through there. Jared getting on the power too soon.
Yep.
And the difference when we heard the Mustang go through there, Matt was
Basically the same as he did 3 laps ago.
yeah. Matt was very patient on the throttle, made sure the car was straight, and had the traction before he got back onto the throttle.
That was the reason I asked, would he have taken tyres?
Absolutely, yeah. At 42 degrees here, a full tank of fuel, there's no point in not taking tyres. But definitely a big issue with the setup for the Ferrari.
Yeah, it is what it is, but I'm a tad disappointed I'm not there. I didn't realise it was going to take as long tonight, but that's what it is.
It is, these things are. But mate, it's good to have you in the box with me, someone to chat with and someone to bring some informative information into the broadcast for us.
I was scared because John said to come in and I'm going, yeah, I'm likely to say something stupid.
Mate,
I don't have a filter. As they found out on Wednesday night. Anyway.
But everyone grouping up at the moment behind the safety car. This will tighten things up. This brings John McHenry right up to the back of John Philly and also Kapesh. And Matt Beattie is now on the same lap, so he'll also catch up to this pack. We know Matt's got the fast car.
Does he get a lucky dog?
He's got the lucky dog. He is back on the lead lap and he will pull up to the back of this pack.
And give him hurry curry.
Yes, he'll make light work of Kapesh, that's for sure. But John McHenry is going to make it difficult. But Matt Beattie will be gunning for John Philly. But John's going to have to be careful of his mirrors here because John McHenry is also very, very quick in that car.
Yeah, he can be slippery at times, can't he?
So the drivers, we see Jared Eastman now out of the pits. He's back rotating around this track. The drivers will have to be conscious of their tyre temps at the restart of this race. They will lose a little bit of temp and a little bit of grip from their tyres at this restart. So it's almost like back to the start of the race.
It'll actually get a little bit of life back to the tyres too. Because they cool down that little bit, they may get that little bit of life.
It won't feel. It probably won't feel like it on turn one.
No. In general, it's giving them a break from the punishment.
Yes, absolutely. But the brakes will feel a little bit spongy. The car will be a little bit hesitant to pull up into turn one. So let's hope everyone is well behaved on the restart of this race.
No, just throw it in there.
So we can see Matt Beattie now pulled up onto the back of this pack.
He's going to be the cat amongst the pigeons. Go straight through him like a bag of salts.
Just watching the safety car here. Looks like it's doing one more lap. I will be waiting for Jared Eastman to catch up to the back of this train at the moment. We see him now coming around through turn 14. And they'll be travelling one more lap around with the safety car.
Does weaving actually work the tyres in iRacing?
But actually, this isn't...
Did they change the model?
But interestingly, we see this view, the difference in size between the GT3 car and the LMP2. And the GT3 car is not overly big car in its own right.
No.
But we can see how much the Ford monsters over the LMP2.
When you see the LMP2 next to the lollipop guy, he only comes up to his waist, the top of the roof.
Yeah. But you can see even with the Ferrari storms over the top of the LMP2s. It doesn't notice those so much in a racing trim, but when they're in a rotation or format like this, it's easy to see the difference. Just the overall width, the height, the tyre spans, the actual length. The difference between a car that relies on high downforce and a car that relies heavily on mechanical grip.
You've got to give the guys credit that do these paint jobs. They're absolutely stunning. The amount of work that they put into them. I know John puts a lot of time in. He's done a couple of cars for me, and they're absolutely awesome.
Yes, well, this is a brand new livery for us this evening. We haven't seen this livery before on Matt Beatty's. It's from The Simpsons.
But then again, blue and green should never be seen unless there's something in between.
We'll take a look at John Philly's livery for the VGA livery with all of the VGA sponsors on there.
Okay, I've heard good things about the prism, actually. The crystal prism, I think it's called.
Campbell Computers and Arc Up Coffee.
Yeah, his cars get a lot of notice.
Logitech G. I think the Fighting Kangaroo was also buried in there somewhere, along with the VGA livery.
Yep. Personally, I'd like to see where he's got the grey across the top. I'd like to see that cam, because without the cam on the car, I think we've lost our image a little bit, as in VGA.
Yep.
But then again, that's just a personal thing, so...
But then they had 3 different cams too that we're using. And it does get a bit lost on this car being the smaller car.
Yeah, but if you had just the one cam down the middle, for argument's sake, whether the grey cam or the navy or the desert cam or the green one or whatever, the one cam down the middle, I thought it looked, in being biased here, I was both Navy and Air Force, but I'd like to see the Navy cam on that. I think it would look rather nice. But that's just, as I say, a personal thing.
And the lights are out in the safety car, so we can see that pull into pit lane. So the cars will be back racing once they cross the start-finish line.
I thought he would have moved over a bit more towards entry into the pits.
No, he just yank it. It's weird it's weird the way the safety car does it on here. And John's got the jump. He has taken advantage of controlling the jump on this track, and he has got the margin back out to almost half a second. As we see, Capesh sits up the inside, making it difficult for John McHenry, but he manages to do it wide. Matt Beatty being conscious at the moment that he's had an issue before running into the back of Capesh, so we just want to be a little bit more cautious. Everyone just waiting for their tyre temps and brake temps to come back up.
Mm-hmm.
The LMP2 cars would be a lot of fun around here. They really do. They would really appreciate the format of this track for their downforce.
They're a lot of fun in any track.
And I think you could really enjoy coming through these corners, which are very challenging in the GT3 car. As we've seen Jared struggling with the setup on his car. Most of the circuit is open and flowing, but it's the camber changes and the elevation changes through turns 12, 13 or 14 that really challenge the car and the lateral grip of the car. So what's your prediction, Kashi, for John going to be able to hold on to the win for the race?
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to get the fastest lap.
As we see, Matt Beattie has now made his way past
Whoa,
Kopesh.
Kopesh just disappeared.
He's got a blink.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, there he is.
But Matt Beattie now got eyes on the prize. He'll be hunting down the back of John McHenry for sure in the next couple of laps.
They get his tyres up to temp.
Yeah, by the end of this lap, 2 laps around here, well, the temp's now down to 36 degrees, so the track temp is coming down. But that will probably weigh into their favour. The cars will probably feel a little bit more gripped up than maybe they should be.
Well, 16 minutes to go.
The Matt Beattie gained half a second out of that lap. Let's take a look at the lap times as they cross over the start-finish line. So 128.5, 128.6. So personal bests for 1 and 2, and a 128.7 for Matt Beattie in third place.
So those slow laps did help their tyres a little bit.
Yeah, the cars
A
were...
little bit of a cool down and give them a second life.
Yeah, the car's halfway through their stint.
Hmm.
So it would be... Yeah, we're feeling like about mid-stint for the tyres now with the safety car laps. John Philly's got a march on here. He's hunting for the fastest lap of this race, but Matt Beattie is closing that margin. He's certainly not going to let Philly out of his sights. As we can see, he gained another 4/10 this lap so far. But just being a little bit conscious. Let's jump back with Matt to see how he's going to deal with this, because he doesn't look like he's going to be close enough at this stage to make a move down at the end of the front straight into turn 1. But we'll jump on board and look at it through the eyes of the windscreen of the LMP2. So at the moment, not quite close enough. He needs to get right, tuck up underneath the rear wing. But as Kashi has advised us, the cars do get a bit loose. They lose that downforce on the front of the car, and it tends to understeer a lot. So still not close enough. If he gets a run out of here, he can run down through 300R into turn and get a advantage braking into turn 10, but yeah, would want to be right up underneath the car into here, taking a lot of the curve through turn 10. I'm thinking of running a very high downforce car at the moment. He seems to have good pace through the tighter section here, but he's definitely losing it at the moment in the more flowing section of the track.
Do you know if they're all using the same setup?
Open setup.
Yeah, but
So
I know that you don't know. Okay.
I don't know who's using what setup this evening.
Yeah. There could be a little bit of setup difference as well.
Yeah, I'm thinking Matt Beattie's gone for maybe a little bit higher downforce, because we can see they're pulling away from him down the front straight.
That's what I was trying to get at, because around the back of the track there, he seemed to drop away a little bit, and I'm thinking, well, is there a setup difference?
Yeah, I'm thinking he's carrying a little bit extra wing, maybe higher downforce, so he's got that little bit of extra drag. He's certainly got the advantage through here. Because he can close the gap up through here, but then coming out of turn 6 out of the hairpin, where you would expect that he would get up into the slipstream and have the advantage, they tend to pull away from him, which says to me that he's carrying that bit extra, because now coming through turn 10 and into the tighter section of the track, this is where he makes his margin up. He gains 3 or 4 tenths in here. So he's gone from 2-second margin back to a 1.3 second. So he closes right up in braking.
It's just down the main straight. He just seems to lose a little bit.
The guys are all trying to break the slipstream now. And I think that's the characteristic of having a higher... almost ended up in pit lane. Higher downforce, just a little bit too much drag and able to take advantage of the slipstream. But look, we'll have to wait until he finds out when he does get close enough. If he gets within 3 or 4 tenths coming out of turn 14, we'll see whether he can take advantage of the slipstream and make the overtake into turn 1. As we can see, gaining right up onto the back there of John McHenry. Costing me a little bit of time, he had to back out of it. A little bit of breathing space for Philly as it steps back to a 2-second margin now. 10 minutes to go, so only around about 6 laps left. Let's take a view from Chopper Cam. And again, losing 4 tenths, 5 tenths down this back straight, or the lead straight. And also running on fairly old tyres now too for Matt Brady. He did do the earliest pit stop. Because
he only stopped the once?
Possibly he did only stop the once for repair. So he could also now be in fuel saving mode. If he's concerned about how much fuel he's got. 9 minutes to go. So we were predicting around about 60 laps, but obviously with the safety car out in this race to bunch the fuel back up, we're probably only looking around about 55 laps now for the race. We'll stay on these 2 cars as this is the closest battle on track at the moment. But this little battle is allowing John Philly to get a little bit of breathing space, and John setting another personal best of a 128.5, getting very close to, and that is running out of fuel, maybe? No?
Well, you did predict it. They'd have to do a splash and dash.
Well, I'm not too sure what he's doing there, running down against the pit wall.
Oh, isn't he trying to break the... Oh, no. What? Trying to break the slip?
Is he trying to...
Don't know.
Is he trying to get a side draft off pit wall, maybe? Is that a thing in iRacing?
I don't know. I know it works in NASCAR.
Well, they were able to cool the tyres down by driving in the grass originally, so...
Yeah, well, that's true.
That's been taken away from the lead teams. And iRacing doing a great job in being able to change the script and keep everything up to date and remove the cheat codes, as they say in iRacing.
All in all, I think it's a fantastic platform. It's taught me a lot and still is teaching me a lot.
And I love the community that iRacing brings. Everyone talks about the official races being a bit of a meat market sometimes in some of the races. But the league events that we're all involved in, a great group of people, everyone willing to help, everyone assisting. I think we have a fuel issue going on here. I think Matt Beattie is struggling with fuel. I think he's fuel saving.
I was going to say, he can't be. He must be, because otherwise he's got an issue bad.
Slipstreaming behind a GT3 generally says that you're trying to...
You're fuel saving.
But they have closed right back up onto John Philly. So maybe John just got himself a little bit wide through one of those corners. John McHenry now 0.5 of a second.
As soon as one dives into the pits, I'd say they all will.
Yeah, I think with 5 minutes to go, I think they would have done the calculations now. They'll be...
Yeah. I reckon it's going to be tight. I really do. I think it's going to be so tight. That last lap's going to be an old man with a walking frame.
And
that'll be me.
Cal Pesh has put down a personal best of 129.45.
Nice. He's still got plenty of fuel.
Yeah, finding good pace at the end of this race in the LMP2.
Hell, the track's down to 36.7 now.
Yep, and weaving around. Is that a concern that potentially struggling with tyre temps now?
Well, I thought they were trying to break the slipstream, to be honest. But then again, yeah, I reckon they're chasing fuel. Especially Matt. That's something you do at the beginning of a race to warm your tyres up.
Let's jump on board with John. There's certainly no issues with these two drivers. These two drivers are pushing as hard as they can at the moment. Although having said that, everyone was in a 129 that last lap. Philly's managed to pull away again, so maybe John just got himself a little bit, outbraked himself into turn one, which closed the margin down. We'll be able to see at the end of this lap on his lap time.
.420 to go.
And John having to just pull up behind the GT3 there. But maybe it was the Ferrari pulling up behind Jared in the Ferrari. You can see the LMP2 is making easy work of the GT3. There's the swing around to try and break the toe behind the car. Sokolosh has been in the chat, has asked what was the temp of the track for the race. The track temp started at around 44 degrees. The race started at 8 p.m. Just after 8 p.m. We are now 9:30 p.m. in race time. And the track temp is now 37.8 degrees. We can see that in the top right-hand corner of the stream. You can see the 21:32 says 9:32 p.m. and the track temp is 37.8 degrees. And that's above the relative on the right-hand side of our top right-hand side of our screen. And Tokolosh, welcome to the stream. We hope you're enjoying it. You were Tim Lawson and Kashi. Kashi would have preferred to be out on track this evening, but a few PC struggles prevented him from having any time to practice. So he jumped into the comms box with me this evening. Thank you very much, mate.
Discretion being the better part of valor. Yeah, it's good to be here.
We hope you're enjoying the stream.
It doesn't make the crash reel any better. Well, it probably does because I'm not in it.
Yeah, there's a few to talk about this evening. We've just seen Kapesh improve his time again with a 129.2. Matt Beattie with a 130.1. So yeah, Matt definitely fuel saving now.
Yeah.
And John Philly 128.5. But Matt McTominay having a fantastic drive in the Ford. Once again, the Mustang running in the 138s consistently this evening.
The question is, will Campeche catch up to Matt, but then getting past him is another question. Before the
10 seconds between them and only 1 minute to go. I think
come on, got to build the drama.
as it stands at the moment, without any incident, this will be the finishing order of the race we would expect with 54 seconds.
And 1 lap to go.
And we'll jump on board with Matt. And we'll see Capesci just successfully got past Matt. But Matt comes around to start his final lap. We'll jump on board with John Philly for the final lap. And John having another fantastic drive, a clean run from him, no major incidents. As Jared finds more trouble in the Ferrari. Go back and take a quick look where Jared got himself into trouble. Coming around turn 14, too fast. Carrying too much speed into there. The car did not want to rotate. And the Ferrari just being very loose on the rear. Very, very difficult night for Jared this evening. Jump aboard back with John. John trying to break the slipstream. A 1.4 second margin. We've seen guys do this and loop the car and lose the race. But brings it home for first. John McHenry comes over in second. Matt Beattie in third.
I wonder if John's chasing fuel.
I think John is out of fuel. Actually, Matt Beattie.
Is he out of fuel?
I must be almost out of fuel. He's let Capesci go through for third place. And Matt Matova pulled up, waiting for Jared Eastman to round. Doing the gentleman thing and wanting the two GT3 cars to cross the line together. As we see the purple dot come around now.
What's he doing? Matt's in reverse. Is Matt out of fuel?
I don't know what they're doing. They've both pulled up unless... Yeah, we can't hear the chat at the moment, so not too sure what's going on. They're still counting down. So we might jump aboard to the boys doing the donuts at the front. Not too sure what the GT3 cars are doing at the back there. They've just pulled up.
No.
Whether...
Not unless Matt's out of fuel.
Yeah, I would have thought he had plenty of margin, even on low fuel. If he'd made the calculation wrong, he should have still been able to roll the car around. But both cars stationary. Not too sure what the story is there. Because he did just pull it up. It didn't splutter. It didn't cough. And
He gets to there and then he starts reversing back. Oh, that's weird.
I think Jared's trying to do a burnout and lost control of the Ferrari.
I can't do them. I don't even bother anymore.
There it goes. Yes, that Ferrari not in a good space for sure.
Oh, that was strange.
We'll see the boys light up here.
Oh,
As
there's a nose cone.
Matt tries to light it off. Gets it out in the grass. Overcooks it. Here goes the rear of the car.
Into the grass. Whack. Smack.
And John
Always
Philly's
in their toys.
celebration with a string of donuts down at the end of the straight.
More skilled than I am. I can't do it.
Most of the boys will have a button mapped on their wheel to turn the brake bias off.
Oh, okay.
So to remove any brake from the rear of the car. And plenty of rubber left on those tyres. What are we talking about?
What do we know?
Well, there we go. That is the running of round 7 for the Aussie Endurance Series, following the IMSA Series on iRacing. And we have been at Fuji International Speedway for 90 minutes of rather exciting racing. We hope you enjoyed the stream. We'll be back again next Tuesday night. Kashi, you'll be back on the track in the LMP2. And I'll take a quick look to find out where we are next week. I should really pay more attention to this before I say things like that. Road America, full course next week. Another fantastic course. LMP2s will love the Templar speed. Also not a bad track for the GT3s. We're hoping to have a good turnout next week to see a good spread of vehicles on track. Until then, we thank you for watching and see you next week.
Bye, guys.